One man's died and a further 30 people are still being treated in hospital for Legionnaires disease. So what do we know about it? Well, the bacteria is commonly found in fresh water, but as is suspected in this outbreak, it can find its way into artificial water supply systems as well. It's contracted when small droplets of contaminated water are inhaled. It can't spread from person to person. Experts say around 10% of people who are infected subsequently die from complications arising from the illness. Some of the symptoms include headaches, muscle pain, high fever, chills, a persistent cough, shortness of breath, chest pains and sometimes vomiting and diarrhoea. Well, to explain how the disease is transmitted, let's speak to John Griggs, Principal Science Officer at the Chartered Institute of Plumbers and Heating Engineers. Hi John, thanks for joining us on Sky News this afternoon. Legionnaires disease, it dates back many decades, but if you catch it, it takes some serious antibiotics to get over it.
Yes. Well, Kay, I think you've given an excellent preamble of actually how Legionella works and how it actually affects people. The main issue is that people actually have to inhale it. And as you've explained, there's Legionella in water and also in soil in lots of areas, but usually in fairly low doses. And it's when it becomes beyond a certain threshold that it becomes an issue to various people. And depending on how susceptible you are to Legionella, if you're likely to actually catch Legionnaires disease. So if you're old, you smoke, and you're not particularly very well, then you stand a greater chance than if you're young, fit and healthy, and especially if you're a woman. So it mainly affects old men. And
Legionnaires disease initially was caught from shower heads, I think, wasn't it?
Well, certainly that's one of the major areas where Legionella can collect. What often happens is within a plumbing system that you'll get little zones where the Legionella bugs can breed. And certainly in areas where you've got scale or low flows, particularly where you've got stagnant water, in temperatures between 20 to 50 degrees C, that's when you can get the Legionella multiplying. And certainly in hotel systems where the shower may be sitting still for a number of days before the next user comes along, that's often the crucial point. And so frequently used showers aren't a problem. It's mainly infrequently used outlets and appliances that can cause the problem where the water has got to those critical temperatures.
So what can we do, particularly people up in Scotland watching and listening this afternoon, what can they do to protect themselves?
Well, I think the main thing is that in Scotland it looks like to be a cooling tower issue, so that's not something that most people can do anything about. But in your own homes, you have to make sure that you're actually using the outlets that you've got provided. So if you've got lots of taps, you need to use them regularly. You don't want to actually have them sitting there with stagnant water for a long time. And increasingly, lots of people are getting renewable heating systems which use the sun and other systems that actually heat the water for a domestic system to relatively low temperature. And often they'll have Legionella cycles built into the systems, and you mustn't turn those off. And you've got to make sure that every day or so that the water that's stored goes beyond 60 degrees for about an hour to kill off the bugs.
OK. John, thanks very much indeed for joining us.